Hi everybody, good evening. Shall we get started? Yeah, okay. So as you know, today's topic is on analytical reading. So as you know, GRE RC exercises involves a passage and questions based on the passage. So there are two steps technically when you answer a GRE RC question. One is where you have to comprehend the passage very effectively, understand almost 70 to 80% of the passage, and then you have to use your reasoning to answer the questions. And as you must be knowing that the choices are quite tricky, they are very close, so that requires a different skill of reasoning to arrive at the right answer. But prior to that, it's very important that you understand the passage very well, right? Do you agree with me? If that is understanding a passage well is almost, I would say, 50 to 60% of the job done, or two-thirds of the job done. And then if you understand it well, there are high chances that your answer will be correct, or your accuracy will be high, right? So today's uh, webinar, we will focus on analytical reading. That is the skill that will help you to comprehend a passage very effectively, regardless of the topic of the passage, right? Okay. So before I move on, tell me one thing. What are the difficulties that you face in reading a passage? I'm not talking about answering questions, but what are some of the difficulties that you face when you read a passage, GRE RC passage? So someone says, yeah, it's Arsha says dull passage. Suyash says dull passage. Yes, sentences are long. It takes time. That's correct. It's boring. Okay, don't have this. Suyash says it's boring. Don't have this thought in the back of the mind, because then it really gets boring. But they're really not that boring. They're scholarly. So once you develop a taste for it, uh, uh, you'll definitely be able to do well. Okay. Then it says, people say it takes vocabulary. It's really not so. It doesn't need a very high vocabulary. Many times passages do not use so many difficult words. They may use terminology from that field. Okay. But words are normal words, and many times you should be able to predict the meaning of the word from the passage. Okay. uh, Aslam says grasping the message within time. Yeah, that's important. Krishna says too lengthy. Okay, fine. So, this analytical reading will help you overcome many of these problems. It needs a bit of practice, but you will definitely be able to overcome many of the problems that you have stated here, and prepare yourself for the first stage, that is comprehending the passage effectively, and after that you move on to uh, answering the questions. Okay, so let us delve deeper into what this is all about. What is analytical reading all about? Okay, so this is the learning objective of today's session. So in the you will understand how a GRE passage is constructed. Okay, so once you, it's like knowing an architecture of a computer, or knowing a map of a city. So once, and these GRE passages, they also have a particular structure. You'll realize that they follow a particular flow or a particular structure. They're not like a story. uh, you know this, right? Many of you must have seen Bollywood movies. They have a pattern, right? After you watch for another 15, 20, 30 minutes, you are most likely able to predict what is going to happen. So you'll find that GRE passages are also, since they are scholarly passages and they delve on a topic, you'll find that there is a pattern in how they are constructed. So once you get hooked on to that style, it'll be very easy for you. So you must have realized, right? Like if you pick up a textbook during engineering, a particular textbook has a style, right? And then you change the textbook, some other author's textbook, then you suddenly find it difficult, right? You got used to a particular style. So it's the same thing here. These passages have a particular style, and uh, if you get familiar with it, it breaks down your fear for that passage. Okay. The second is to identify the thesis statements and supporting ideas. Now, what are these? I will discuss in this webinar. Third is, what role does the supporting idea play in the passage? And third is, and the final objective is, learn the skills of reading RC passage analytically through some examples. Okay. So this is what we are going to learn today in this webinar. Okay, so before that, we have to understand two things, two important things, something called as thesis statements and supporting ideas. A passage, GRE passage, will contain something called thesis statements and something called as supporting ideas. So all of you agree with this? If a GRE passage or any passage for that matter is nothing but a flow of ideas, and an idea one idea, it's a flow of ideas which leads to the purpose or the main idea which the author has in mind, right? Most passages the author does not explicitly state her passage, or doesn't, the first para doesn't tell you, rarely tells you what is the main idea that she wants to convey, right? Some passages may do that in the beginning, some authors might conclude in the end, but most passages the author doesn't explicitly tell you his or her purpose, right? It's just a sequence of ideas and that builds up into a main purpose or an idea. Do you agree with this? So there are two types of ideas in a, so we see that RC is nothing but a sequence of ideas, and these ideas are basically only of two types. One is a thesis statements and another is supporting ideas. We'll see examples and understand what these are. So once you understand this, you'll really find that comprehending a passage isn't that difficult anymore. So what are thesis statements? Thesis statements are nothing but lines in the passage which give the author's opinion, views, or beliefs. Hmm? Or it could be a strong statement, an assertive statement that the author makes, right? Or it could be a concluding statement. He has a passage, and in the end, he concludes something. That is a thesis statement. Or he discusses an idea, a novel idea, let's say a new type of cell or new fossils that were found. Those can be treated as thesis statements, or a very critical observation about something. For example, let's say they found some rocks in the Arctic region, and the rocks are, they find that the rocks have certain isotopes which are also found in comets. So they conclude that these rocks are of, prehistoric material from which the planet itself was formed, primitive material uh, from which the planet was formed, the Earth, or at the time of creation of the solar system. So such a observation that this rocks at certain types of isotopes which are only found in comets, this becomes a critical observation to a particular thesis, right? Then in some passages the author will warn, that the water table is going low. So if this continues, then California will become a desert in another decade. So such statements which the author emphatically makes in a passage, these are thesis statements. So once the author makes a thesis statement, he has to support them with examples or supporting ideas, right? So automatically there are thesis statements and there are supporting ideas which play a specific role in building up the author's argument. A support idea could be of various types. It could be an example which the author gives to illustrate a point, or it could be a counter example to rule out a possibility. Hmm? Or a support idea can make comparison between two people, let's say two poets or two authors or two novels or two styles of two artists and so on. Hmm? Or it could talk about a unique aspect of something or some phenomena. For example, the meteorite or the rocks that was found. So there are certain isotopes in that, and those isotopes are only found in comets. Those are unique aspect of something which leads to certain hypothesis, right? Or it may give justification, elaborate an author's view. So the author's view will be a thesis statement. It will be followed by a justification of why he thinks so. So a passage is nothing but there are thesis ideas and then there are support ideas. Okay. So we'll see examples and learn how to, so this is critical. So once you learn to identify this in a passage, your comprehension will just improve by steps and bounds. Okay, so before we move further, don't get alarmed. Like this is not exhaustive. There could be other types, a support statement, support ideas that it could play some other roles. So these are just illustrative, and you do not have to memorize them, or you won't be asked a question as to is this a thesis idea or this is a support idea. It's just what you need to know at the back of your mind. It's just to create a model of the passage that you're reading. So you do not have to memorize this, or or as you read, you really have to identify, is this a thesis idea or is it a support idea? That you will come to know anyway, but you don't have to bother for every support idea what role is it playing in the passage. So let's see a number of examples, and then you'll be much clear. And this kind of thinking will help you mostly to answer the inferential and the critical reason types of questions in RC, right? You agree that these are the most difficult ones, right? The inferential ones, right? So once you learn how to mentally identify the thesis statements and support ideas, it will really help you comprehend and make you ready to answer the inferential type of questions. So let's move on and find out, understand more about analytical reading. Okay, so as we saw before, a passage, I'm just reiterating, a passage is nothing but a sequence of ideas which leads to the main idea, like a movie. And the better you're able to predict what's going to happen, it to that extent, your comprehension is better and faster. So as you read, always subconsciously ask, what is the big thing that the author is trying to say, and why is the author saying so? So as you read, constantly keep this asking these questions in the mind, and you will be able to get the big picture of the passage and the purpose behind the passage. So just as you would do in a movie, a predictable movie where you try to predict what's going to come next. So this is what, at the gist of it, it is like this. You try to identify the individual ideas of the passage, and you understand the role of the supporting ideas in the context of the passage, and try to gauge the logic that the ideas gradually build. So the last part heads towards the purpose, or the inferential type of questions. Okay, so now let's see practically how you do this. How do you break a passage into ideas? How do you start predicting or start thinking about what is the role of that supporting idea? And then how do you see the logic that binds this flow of ideas, which leads to the conclusion or the purpose or the main idea of the passage? Okay, let's start with an example. Okay, do you see this passage on your screen? It's a very short passage. It just has 3 lines. Okay, tell me, just read this and tell me how many ideas does this little passage have? One idea, two ideas, sub ideas. How many sub ideas does it have? Okay, Sandeep says one idea. Rajeshwari says two. Pranay Krishna says two. Poojan one. Sumit says three. Not one. I'm asking how many sub ideas. Sumit says three. Seshu says two. Saurabh Ganguly says two. Saurabh Ganguly says three. Sanjay Nayak says three, two, and so on. Okay, so many people are in twos and threes. Okay, now let's look at this passage as a sequence of ideas. John says three. Swati says, okay, Swati, my question is, how many sub ideas are there in this little passage which you see on the screen? How many small ideas? Which, okay, Nabil says three. Okay, fine. So, do you agree that there are these 3 ideas? Yeah, Sundari also got it 3. Those who said 3, do you agree that these are the 3 ideas? Anyway, there is no right or wrong answer in all this. It's just modeling the passage. Okay, Abhilash says, I read it 3 times and got nothing. That's fine, Abhilash, but does it make sense when you read it, see it like this? That there are 3 ideas. Do you see like this? Okay. So now let's go deeper into it. Okay, Swati, do you see that there are 3 ideas now? Swati Agrawal. Okay. Now let us examine each statement. Do you agree that the first is a thesis statement? Philosophers don't like to get their hands dirty. This is a statement, right? It's an assertion. Do you guys agree? The first idea is an assertion, right? Okay. Right. It's an assertive one. Aslam says that's right. Okay. So if I were to summarize mentally, it will be, what does that mean? Philosophers don't like to get their hands dirty. It means that philosophers don't like to do things practically, or don't like to do manual work with their hands. They'd like to theorize, right? Make it more into theory and ideas and so on, but not actually implement anything, right? Note, this is the author's view. He is citing a general opinion here. Do you agree? This is the authors of the passage and it's a thesis statement, right? Okay. Let's go to the next idea. Do you agree the next idea is a supporting idea, right? He uses example of Plato, who has said in his book The Republic that philosophers are guardian class who play a supervisor role, right? Do you agree? The second idea is a supporting idea, right? Okay. Now, before I go to the next slide, what do you think is the third idea? Is it a thesis idea or a support idea? The third one, I don't think I could successfully sell that to anyone here, but the idea is that philosophers could be thought of as entirely useless. Okay, Sai Kiran says thesis. Amrita, is it a thesis idea or a support idea? Shruti says thesis. Rishabh says opinion, which is again a thesis. So Sharda thesis, Sanjay Nayak thesis, Divya thesis. So everybody says thesis. Only Kirti says it's a support idea. Kirti, why do you think it's a support idea? It's an opinion, right? More like an opinion or a conclusion, right? It's not an example like the second one, idea two, right? So, so you're right. The third is also a thesis idea, right? What it means is that currently no one will agree with such an opinion. That is, the author feels that people will not agree with his opinion and might consider philosophers as useless. But however, the author believes that they are not useless. So, do you see this passage like this? There is a thesis statement, there is a support idea, and a thesis statement, right? Do you see the passage like this now? Right? Is it simpler? Okay. So this is how mentally you should be seeing a passage. It becomes much simpler. Okay. Let's move on to this. Okay, so after reading the passage, you could try to guess what's the main idea of the passage or the author's purpose. Okay, so now let us look at this passage again. So, what do you think is the main idea, or what is the purpose of this passage? From these statements, can you type down what do you think is the author's purpose? Can you think and summarize in a line? Don't bother about the grammar. Okay, Aslam says description of philosopher's role. Zubair says philosophers are not useless. Arisha says philosophers are not useless. Mihir also says the same. Swati says main idea is hidden in the last line. Right. Uh, so just summarize in your own words. This helps you. This is a small passage. Sometimes it would not be summarized in your last line. So it's better to. Let's take this as an exercise and summarize. So Amrita says philosophers are supervisors, hence not useless. Okay, philosopher's role is important, says Ashim. Sumit says philosopher a living style. That's not really correct. So Kirti says perception of roles of a philosopher. Okay, fine. So I think you're getting it. So you're getting an idea of by looking at these statements, right? So do you agree with this? Do you agree with this? So even if philosophers do not engage in practical work, they serve a useful role in the society. Do you agree with this? Oh, right. So I think most of you guessed this. So a choice. So you should have whatever you had in mind. That philosopher is not useless. That will be your core crux of the idea, which will be there in the mind. And then once you see the right choice, you will be jumping on it and marking it correct. Right. So essentially, what did we do here? So this analytical reading is nothing but, let's go back. So you have a passage which would look like this on paper. So on your rough sheet or mentally, you have to start as you read, you have to visualize like this. Okay, but of course you don't have a screen, you can't do these boxes, but you could then take notes on your rough sheet, and on your rough sheet it would look something like this. Then you can use your short forms, like you can call this TS, thesis statement, or support idea, SI, and you could use your own SMS like language, like philosophers, you could just say PHILO and so on. So do you get this? So you can map a long passage into a sequence of ideas like this on your rough sheet. Okay. So now Ashimansu says, can we manage with so much time? Okay. So this is not on the GRE day. This, if you practice right from now, you'll find that you will need very little of rough paper to do all these things, and should be able to do 70% of this in your mind. Is it fine? And if once you become an expert, you will find that for small passages you don't have to do this. After you do some 10, 15, you will find that this 3-line passage or a 4-line passage, you can do this thing mentally, or even uh, uh, even passages which has 8 to 10 lines, you will be able to do this mentally. Okay, it's only the very long passages which you'll get only one in the exam. You might have to, you might need paper where you jot down the ideas like this. Is this fine? But initially, as you practice, since I guess many of you are far away from exam, so you can start practicing like this, and little by little, ensure that you do more things in your mind and less on paper. Is this fine, everybody? Pragna says, what do we do if it is a long passage? Yeah, we'll slowly come to long passages, but you will find that even long passages only have long lines. Many times the ideas are only 5 or 6. Pragna, we'll see this. We'll take more examples. Sai Sandeep says, every sentence may be an idea. Oh, not necessarily. Every sentence may not necessarily be an idea. For example, if he gives an example, then the whole example is a support idea, and you not, of course, jot down everything about that support idea. We will see such examples right today in this session, where you don't have to write down, suppose it's an example, you don't have to jot down things, you just have to get an essence of it and realize that it's a support statement. Is this fine, Sandeep? Okay, fine. So let's see some more examples. Let's make it longer and longer, but this just gives you in summary what it is about. Okay, so then another thing is, do I have to read every line and understand its role? No, it's not necessary. As you become experienced, you will know that you can skip support statements. Make sure that you read thesis statements, okay, because that contains the author's opinions and ideas. That is actually defines the structure of the passage, and support statements are only there to for him to justify, and support statements can be long, support ideas can be long. So you can just take the essence of it, you not skip it, but you can read fast through it without bothering about the details. Once you become experienced, you will know which is a thesis statement and which is a support idea. Is this fine? Yes, Saurabh, you're right. Skimming, yeah, you can do skimming through a support idea, and you can skim also the passage once, and it depends on your comfort with the passage. So you might want to skim once rapidly and get an idea of the passage, and then go a little fast and understand the individual ideas in this. Okay, but if it's a small or medium sized passage, most likely after your experience in one reading, you'll be able to do both. That is, you'll be able to identify the thesis statements and the support statements, and you'll be able to do it. Okay. Swati is asking, what do you mean by right section of the passage? I didn't mean the right section. As you read, and you'll become experienced, and then as you read, you'll realize that which is a support idea and which is the thesis idea. So when you hit a support idea, if required, you can read fast through the sections, skim it. You need not read in detail. But the thesis statements, it's always better to read it in detail. Is that fine, Swati? Okay. So let's see more. That was just a beginner. Okay. Another thing that you can do is, where applicable, you can try to guess the meaning or purpose of a specific word or phrase in the passage. Let's see this. Uh, okay, let's take this one. In this passage, why does the author cite Plato's Republic? Should I show the passage again? So I want to know what is the purpose behind citing Plato's Republic. Okay. So what is the purpose of citing Plato's Republic? Seshu says showcase an example. Murli says support first thesis. That's correct, Murli. Right. First is a thesis statement, and the second one supports his idea. You're right. Uh, Praveen says for any example. It's not any example. As Murli stated, it is to support the role of this is to support the previous statement. Do you agree? Rahul also says support idea for thesis. Uh, right? Okay. Supporting statistics, Kishore says that's not correct. It's more precise is he the the role of the second idea is to support the thesis statement which appears in the beginning. Okay. So as you practice analytical reading, you got to be sharper like this. So is this the right answer? This is how you will see it in the choice to convey the idea that if even if philosophers do not engage in practical work, they serve as a useful role in the society. Do you agree with this? Right. This is right. Okay. So as you read, you can certain key things like support statements. You can try to guess subconsciously what will be its purpose, and a purpose like question, it'll be useful. You always try to predict and then see in the choices if what you predicted is there as a choice, right? Okay. Okay, now one more question. Uh, Here the word cell was used in a particular, has a different meaning in this passage, right? Normally to sell is to sell something to somebody and get money for it, right? But the sell here, there is no physical selling here, right, in this passage. So what is the context in which the author uses the word sell in this passage? Okay, give me the answer. The sell here is not buy and sell, something else. Okay, Arisha says B. Many people say C. Aditya says C. Sumit says B. Okay, Zubair says E. I cannot make anybody understand my ideas. Okay, Divya Chopra says C. E. Okay, so let's see the answer. Okay, B is the correct answer. I guess many of you got it, right? So how many didn't get it? Right? Here, selling means to convince somebody about the idea that you have, right? So, any doubt? Does anybody have doubt on this? Okay, doesn't matter. Sai, uh, Pradnya says, Vardhan says, why not C? To promote an idea. It is. It's not about promoting. No, selling is in this case. It is to convince somebody, because the author believes that philosophers are not useless. Okay, but he says that not everybody will believe me, so I'll not be able to sell it to everybody. That means I'll not be able to convince everybody. Right? To promote is different. Right? To convince somebody is a different thing. Yeah, Saurabh, you're right. To make somebody believe, especially those who are skeptical about it. Is it fine, Vardhan? Pradnya Vardhan? Okay. Anyone else? Why not E? Rahul Verma says, why not E? Can somebody answer me? Why not E? To encourage people to think. Yeah, Sumit, go ahead with your doubt. Yeah, others, can somebody tell me? Rahul has a doubt, why not E? So those who got B as the right answer, can you tell me why E is not the right answer? Zubair, can you tell me? Why didn't you select E? To encourage people to think. Yeah, yeah. Sell is encouraging, self indicates. Kishore says. Right. So that's correct. The To sell an idea is to convince somebody about an idea. It is not to make people think. Okay. Is this fine, Rahul? When you want to sell somebody an idea, it is to make him convince. Your objective is not to make him learn how to think. No, fine. So somebody had a doubt, Sumit or yes, Sumit Singh. You had a doubt, right? Actually, from Sumit Singh says, actually from the first line of the passage, hand dirty, I inferred that the philosopher don't want to indulge in politics. Oh, no, 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 no. Oh, Sumit has an excellent doubt here. He thought that getting their hands dirty is getting into politics. Yeah, I mean, politics is also practical. Saurabh Ganguly says it's a fabulous doubt. Yeah, what you say, Sumit, is correct, but getting, like, suppose there's a professor, even in an engineering college, he likes to just do theory, but he doesn't want to build a circuit, doesn't want to build an engine, or actually does something. Then basically he doesn't want to get his hands dirty. Or there are theoretical physicists, right? They do theory, and but they don't want to do practical stuff. Then there are some other physicists who do practical stuff, and then they see that, yeah, his theory was right, and so on. Do you get it? So anything that is getting hands dirty here doesn't mean physically getting them dirty, right? Just like sell here doesn't mean physically sell something. Getting hands dirty is not to get into trouble, into the nitty gritties of application. Is this fine, Sumit? Yeah, in politics is one case, doing experiments is another case. You got it? Okay. So these kind of things only when you practice a lot. One more thing I would tell you guys, please read a lot in addition as you practice GRE passages. Make sure that you read a lot, editorial articles from prominent newspapers like Hindu, Economist. So there you will come across all these kind of words, and you will become much more familiar with these statements. Okay, so read in parallel the editorial sections of newspapers. Is it fine, Sumit? So you'll not get, you'll understand all these things. Swati is asking, can we say getting hands dirty means not to get involved in the thing? Yeah, yeah, you're right, Swati. Not to get involved is also one meaning. Not to do practically is also one thing. Okay, limit yourself only to theory. That is not getting hands dirty. Okay, okay. So this was this little example which we saw a lot of questions. Okay, uh, right. Now let's see a slightly longer passage. Take a couple of minutes, read it, and now you tell me how many ideas that you can identify. On your paper, take a sheet of paper and make your notes, brief notes, SMS type, and read and see how many thesis statements you find here, how many examples you find here, support statements you find. Now, right now, don't bother whether in the real exam will I do like this and so on. This is like cycling on day one. You don't bother about falling down and so on. Or first day at swimming, you don't bother. Okay, and let me know when you're done. You take a sheet of paper and take your notes, and okay, Sandeep has finished. He says 4 ideas. Okay, let's wait for others, Sandeep. Ria says 6, Krishna says 4, Arisha says 6, Vamsi 5. Okay, Saurabh has 3 ideas, 3 thesis ideas. Akshay, could you repeat the question? Akshay, you can just break this passage, you read it and break it into sub ideas, like I had shown in the previous example. Santosh says 5, Seshu 6, Asimashu 4, Murli 5. Okay, it's Arshia, not Arisha. Okay, sorry, Arshia. Okay, Arshia. Uh, okay, Aditya, don't worry. You're not able to understand. We'll see. I'll show this now. Sumit says 5. Okay, now let's move on. Let's see if did you see it something like this? Many of you got it 4, right? Anyway, there's no right or wrong in this. Did you roughly see it like this? Something you might have broken into 2. That doesn't matter. But roughly, did you see it like this? All of you? Aditya, don't bother. Does it become easy when you read a passage like this, Aditya? Okay, Sumit 5. Ashimansu says exactly like this. Krishna says yes. Akshay says yes. Uppala Sandeep says yes. Okay, Sundari says no. Akshay says 5. That's okay. You must have split the first one into 2 and so on. Anyway, there's no right or wrong answer, so that's fine. So more or less, if you got it like this, it's fine. Swati says why the first one is not further broken into 2. We'll come to that. John says I broke into 3 paragraphs. Okay, okay, fine. So now, okay, now let's go into details of each of this passage. Let's analyze this. Okay, so first, do you agree it's a thesis statement, right? All of you agree it's not a support idea, right? Swati, okay, and you can just summarize it. It is just setting a context, right? That the awareness for wellness is catching on, and there are several examples to support his view. right? He's just giving examples that it is there in the White House, and the people are running marathons, and everybody in the internet is talking about there are foods in the supermarket. So all these are, it's a thesis idea which just says that uh, the concept of wellness seems to be everywhere, right? That is this core thesis statement, and the rest are all support to uh, to support his core idea, right? So somebody might have broken it here also. This is a support idea, and this is the key one. That's also fine. Okay. So this passage, what is it doing? It is setting the stage for wellness. Do you agree? So what is the second idea? Is it a thesis statement or a support one? It is no longer a reserve for hippies of the 1970s who were like this, right? So second idea, is it thesis or is it support? Okay, it says supporting detail. Many of you say, some say thesis, some say support. But anyway, don't bother. It doesn't really matter. It's a supporting ideas, which says that it has, first line says that it has become really popular now. Everybody is talking about wellness. And the second line just extends it further that in probably in 70s, only the hippies would bother about wellness. Now everybody is talking about it. Fine. It's a support idea. Doesn't matter even if you consider it as a thesis, but as long as you could break and make it convenient for you, it's fine. Okay. Third idea is thesis. Do you agree? There is no doubt about it, right? The third idea is a thesis statement, right? All of you agree. So now suddenly he's bringing in scholars. Okay. So first statement says that it's getting popular. Second justifies it, and the third one suddenly. Do you see this yet here? Is he changing? Is he changing the context? Did you guys note this yet? Huh? So now suddenly he brings in scholars, and now the scholars are wary of facing up enthusiastic parts. So scholars somehow do not warm up to this idea of wellness. Somehow they are not convinced about this thing called wellness, where everybody is getting into it. And why are they not? Why are they not participating enthusiastically with the rest of the crowd? Because they feel that uh, their intellectual credibility will get diluted. It's kind of uh, it's kind of it's like below their dignity to get into things like wellness. Okay, right? He's Mihir said yes, it's changing. So did you guys get it? Okay. Now let's see the fourth statements. The fourth is a support idea. Do you agree? Which idea does it support? Does it support the previous idea about scholars? Right. The scholars, he said, are not uh, the scholars. The previous idea said that the scholars have not warmed up to this idea. They don't look at wellness with so much enthusiasm as the rest of us, right? So the fourth idea, read it carefully. So is it supporting the previous idea? Yeah, Amrita says it supports, right? It is talking about the scholars, right? No, it's telling why the scholars look down condescendingly at the idea of wellness, right? The reason is, if you, the whole thing just means pursuing wellness, they feel is a sign of abnormality, right? This word, signals of troubling tendencies. That means if somebody is chasing wellness, talking about wellness, then scholars feel that there is something abnormal about this guy. Is it fine? And somebody, William Davis, has even written a book on it. Do you guys get it? Okay. So now let's see the passage in a different way. Now, so the whole passage, do you see it like this now? On your rough sheet, is it something similar? Whatever you guys had done. Rahul Verma wants to know what is narcissism. Narcissism is, you're in love with yourself. That is narcissism. Kind of you in love with yourself. Okay, but as you see, you really do not need to know what is the meaning of narcissism in this passage. So don't get worried about vocab in typical RC passage. So you just know that the last line just says that the scholars feel that there is something abnormal about people, those who pursue wellness, right? So now what exactly is that abnormality? He has given three types. You really don't have to bother. Let me go back. they see that pursuit of wellness as a signal of troubling tendencies, that is something abnormal. And what does anti-intellectualism mean? What does narcissism mean? What does neoliberalism mean? You don't have to really bother. Okay, in general, neoliberalism means, does anybody know what does neoliberalism mean? Actually, you don't have to, you really need not know what narcissism, neoliberalism is. These are just some abnormalities. But still, does anybody, can somebody tell me what is neoliberalism? You know what liberalism is, right? Somebody who is a liberal, who is a liberal. Amrita says self-liberalization. Okay, Arshia says free. Yeah, somebody wants to be free. That's correct. Liberal, whose ideas, uh, who, who, one who wants to be free. Yeah, Krishna is correct. Not orthodox. And what is neoliberal? What is therefore what is neoliberalism? Neoliberalism is like, you know, they will be little ahead of normal people, right? For them, let's say something like, you know, a live-in is fine for them. That's their freedom. So live-in is fine. Marriage within the same sex is fine with them. They're liberal. Do you guys get it? So they will have unorthodox ideas. Yeah, do you find? Right? So now coming back to our passage. Yeah, Swati, you really don't have to bother about narcissism. Narcissism is a state of mind where you are in kind of love with yourself, or you think very highly of yourself. Yeah, Pradnya says liberty in all way. That's correct, neoliberalism. Okay, fine. So now, so that passage, which should be on your paper, it should be like this, and you can of course make it short, use short forms and so on. In the practice phase, I suggest you do all these things, and eventually you will not need you'll as you become expert, you will need little and little of paper. Okay, so now based on what you have captured, can you tell me, can you capture the essence of the passage in a single line? What is the essence of this passage? Okay, I'll take you back to the passage. You must also had your notes. Okay, can you tell me what is the essence of this passage in a single line? Don't bother about grammar. This is what you will create in your head, in your mind. In one line, tell me the essence of this passage. Okay, Saurabh says the idea of scholars towards wellness. Okay, Aslam says wellness, both positive and negative aspects. Fine. Aditya says trending of wellness and opinions on it. Fantastic. Sounder Prabhu says scholars are taking wellness as a trouble sickness. Fine. Okay, you're forming your concepts. That's good. John says wellness, boon or bane. Different boons on views on wellness. Rahul says Nandakumar, wellness opinions. Shakti, today's generations are apart from wellness. No, that's not really correct. Wellness is getting popular and intellectuals deny it. Akshata, that's correct. So I think you guys are getting it. So, right. So what does Arshia say? Everybody is aware of the concept of wellness, but now scholars are big and negative. You're right, Arshia. Okay, so let me. So yeah, right. You guys are getting it now. No, mentally you're thinking about the purpose of this passage. You're able to summarize it. Is this what actually you are trying to say? This will be like a choice statement, right? In a choice, you will see something like this. But does it match what you had in mind? Rahul says yes. Arshia says yes. Aslam says yes. Kishore says yes. Yes. Zubair says yes. That's good. Good to see that it matched what you had in mind. So now, are you getting it? Amrita also says yes. So you're getting it. So as you read, you saw independent ideas, 4 or 5 doesn't matter, and then you are able to see a thread through it, and you are able to make it concise, right? You are able to summarize it, and it was in your head. It doesn't matter uh, uh, whether you articulate it well. So moment you see this, this is a typical choice, right? In the choice, it would be something like this, right? In the actual question, a choice. So moment your eyes fall on this choice, you will just go and pick it up, right? Okay, so let's want to do more. Shall we do more examples? Okay, Nandakumar. Yeah, we'll do more examples, Nandakumar. Amrita says essence. Okay, the essence. This one, Amrita. Okay, Sandeep wants to do more. Yeah, we'll do more. The next one will become little more complicated. Okay, fine. Slide for Swati. We'll move on. Okay, we'll see more. Okay, here is another example, slightly longer. So John says question and answer round. Yeah, we'll have a question and answer round, John. After this webinar, we'll do peacefully. Right now, I want to take everybody in a flow. So can you do this again? Here is another passage. This is a medium-sized passage, right? So can you identify thesis statements and support statements on your paper. Okay, so Ashay got 4 ideas, Sandeep got 6. Take your time, people. No rush. This is not GRE. Yeah, John says main idea is corruption. That's correct, John. Ashimanshu says 6. Arshia says 4 thesis ideas. Pranay says 5. Akshata 5. Durgesh 4. Aditya 3. Rishabh asked me, sir, what do we do when we do not get the meaning of a line in a reading? If you don't get the meaning of a line, Rishabh, many times you just move on. When you read it the second time, many times you'll understand it. As you understand more about the passage, as you read, you understand more about the passage, right? So many times what you're not understood earlier, the second reading, you will be able to understand. Many times it happens, okay, that in the second reading, you'll understand. Okay, so more or less everybody has got 4 or 5. Rahul has done, Arun, Kirti, Mihir, everybody has done. Sanjay is done. Okay, so let me show you the next slide. So was it something like this? No, everybody mostly got 5 or 6 ideas, right? Somebody might have clubbed, right? It was something like this you got, right? Now let us quickly walk through each idea. So do you agree? The first one was thesis. Did you guys get this? It's a big line, but it fundamentally just says that corruption cripples development, right? That is the crux of the idea. And the rest, what all happens because of corruption, that is the second line and a long line, right? So actually you can skip, you can go fast through the second line. Do you agree? Uh, you may not skip, but you can, in reality, like once you know, you're able to identify that, oh yeah, this is a support statement, you can read fast, right? And this is how you can save time, right? Okay, let's see the second one. The second one is also a thesis statement. The author feels that corruption also has another less recognized impact. So as the people see the corrupt leaders, it leads to unrest and violence within them. Right? There's a long line, but it says that because of corruption, there is frustration building up in people. Right? Do you agree? Right? So this is also a thesis statement. Third one. The third one, do you agree? It's a support statement. He's giving examples of how frustration slowly becomes dangerous. Right? The first line said corruption, introduce you to corruption and what corruption can cause problem to the society. Second line said that, second idea was that people start getting frustrated. And now the third line says how frustration becomes dangerous. Do you guys get this? So this is a big passage, big statement, but it is actually showing how the inbuilt frustration becomes dangerous. Right? Okay. Next one. This is a very crux, very thesis statement, very precise. So this you should never miss. You know, so lines like this. The only way to restore public integrity, these groups assert, is by means of a rigidly applied code of personal conduct. So who are these groups? When they say these groups, who are these groups? Whom does he mean? The only way to restore public integrity, these groups assert. So whom does the author have in mind when he says these groups? Yeah, Mihir gets it right, Boko Haram and so on, right? So he's referring to the terrorist groups which have started forming, right? Islamic State, Taliban, you're right, Sanjay, Mihir, right? So these groups here refer to the groups, the terrorist groups which are referred to in the previous line. He's talking about Taliban, Boko Haram and Islamic State, you know, these groups. And what do they believe? They believe that only if you become rigid, then the society will improve, right? So typically these groups have rigid codes, right, of behavior. Do you agree? They believe the society should follow only this. This is right, this is wrong. There's very less freedom, right? That is their belief, right? Now let's see fifth line. Okay, now this is again a thesis statement. I think this is not a support idea. It should be a thesis statement. So now this thesis statement, whose opinion is this? Is this the author's opinion, or is this uh, the terrorist group's opinion? Idea 5. Whose opinion is this? The author of the passage or the group's? Right. Arshia says authors. Seshu says author. Durgesh author. Yeah. So you're clear, right? The last John says author and so on. So you got it right. The fifth idea is the author's idea of the passage, whereas the fourth idea was what the groups thing, the Taliban and all those things. Okay, fine. So this is a typical passage from the Economist. So that's why I said, guys, you read all these articles from the Economist and Hindu and all that. So you'll get used to this language. Okay. So is this how you see the passage now? Essentially, as summary of these ideas, right? So such as that big passage essentially is nothing but these 5 ideas. Okay, so now let's look at questions, whether you can predict an answer. So here is a GRE like passage. I mean, yeah, I have reduced the number of choices. So what is the purpose of citing examples such as Boko Haram, Taliban and Islamic State in the passage? What is the purpose of these examples? So do you guys want me to go back to the passage? Durgesh says C. Okay, good. Without the passage, you're able to answer. I think you're answering from your notes, right? Rahul got it right. Oh, almost all of you got it right. Durgesh got it right. Rahul, Sanjay, everybody got. Ashok didn't get it right. Mihir got right. John got it right. So almost all of you got it right, except Rahul and Ria Ashok. Okay, who said B? Why is they all selected B? To show how ideological groups help in rooting out the bane of corruption. So these ideological groups, Taliban, they are not rooting out corruption, right? Have they succeeded in building a society, a better society? Okay, let's go back. So in places where so let's look at this. Can you see this here? Exploit citizens' outrage or frustration. Those who selected B, Rahul, did you get it? They people get frustrated and they use people's frustrations, right? And they create a rigid society. So nowhere in the passage has the author said that after taking over, the society has become corruption free. Nobody has said that, right? If we go back to this passage, if you go back to the original passage, the third paragraph says that this Taliban, Boko Haram, they take over, they exploit the frustration and take over. They make the society very rigid, but nowhere has it said that the corruption ends and the society improves, right? Do you guys, those who selected B, do you agree? Sham also, no, that was Rahul, right? Okay, so don't fall for this praise. I'm happy that almost 90% of you got this answer correct. Okay, so this question, so now you got it. So this was the purpose of using a particular example in the context of the passage, and of course in the real GRE there would have been 2 more choices which would have been obviously not the right answers, right? The second one, B, with lot of people selected, that would have been a distractor kind of thing. Okay, Swati has a doubt. What does radical group means? A radical group, Swati, is those who take extreme opinions. Radical group, anybody who is radical is somebody whose views are extreme, are extreme. Is this fine, Swati? Okay, Swati, you have to read a lot, and you also have to develop your vocabulary, huh? So use that word bot and learn 30 words every day at least, and also read a lot. Okay. Okay. So good. Many of you got it right. Okay. The next question, again, GRE like. What is the author's attitude towards groups such as Taha? This everybody likes this, right? Many people, tone and attitude you guys normally don't like, no? But tell me the answer of this one. Think properly and tell me. Rahul says C. Saurabh says A. Again, there's a difference of opinion. Ankit says B. John says B. Pradnya C. Sham says A. Arshia says, can you show me the last sentence? Okay, one sec. So, A, some A's, some B's, C's. Okay, so here's the opinion is divided now, but why C? Those of you are selected C. Why C? Is the author showing any sign of fear? This should have been obviously rejected, right? Pranay, Ashok, where is he shown any signs of fear? Okay, Arshia, you wanted the passage. Okay, you can guys can quickly, those of you want to have a look can quickly see this. Okay, Arshia, tell me the answer. Yeah. Okay, so C is ruled out because those who have selected C has the author showing fear for that groups, the terrorist groups. Okay, so mostly now people B and A. So now just read this passage and now give me the final answer, people. Just see the last line and see if is he condescending or is he just logical reasoning. Okay, what is the attitude in the last line? Is he angry? Is he scared? Definitely he's not scared. Okay, so shall we go to the answer? Okay, the answer is B, one marked by rationality. B is the right answer. So I guess many of you got this right, no? Huh? It is not condescending. Is he critical? Yeah, Mihir got it right. Arshia. Okay, if you see, he's more empathetic, no? He's just the whole passage. He's if you go back to the passage, if we go back to the passage, the first paragraph says corruption is bad. Then the second passage says that it creates frustration, and these groups they exploit the citizens' frustration. Okay, because they believe that if the society becomes rigid, corruption will reduce. So the last line says that with no viable resource, like people don't have options for a peaceful appeal. So this is quite natural that these kind of groups will come up. Do you agree? He's just saying that since people do not have any avenue for peaceful appeal, there is corruption, but people really can't do anything and they're getting frustrated. So it is natural that with no viable recourse, that is, with no options for peaceful, if there was a option for peaceful appeal, people would have reacted to corruption in a different way. But now there is no other alternative. So it's natural that such groups will come up. So do you see it's more rational? Right? He's not condescending towards the groups. Right? Do you agree? So this is how had it be condescending, he would have used a different language that they are merciless or they are illogical. He does not say anything like this, or they are inhuman. Whatever this thinking is inhuman, and if he had used such words against their ideology of these groups, then we would have said that he is condescending. Saurabh, is it fine? He's not showing signs of superiority, no, nor is he cynical. He's criticizing them. He's just saying this is logical. This will happen like. Okay, so let's go back to our question. Okay, so fine. So you're clear. Okay, fine. So now do you understand? Now you got an idea of what analytical reading is, how to view a passage, and how to start thinking as you read. This is nothing but analytical reading. So how do you feel towards passages now? Now that we saw three passages. One was small, Second was big, slightly bigger, but third one was fairly big. So what is your attitude at the moment? Aslam says, Sai says 4, he's smiling. Sanjay says D. Okay, so all of you are optimist. That's good. Mihir says optimist. Rahul says optimist. So you know your tone and attitude, right? That's good, Aslam. Ankit says marked by despondency. Don't worry, Ankit. I think if you practice and read, definitely you just have to follow these techniques. Maybe others, they must have practiced a little more than you, so they're a little ahead. But Ankit, if you read more and follow these techniques, you'll have the recordings. Just go through it again and you'll get it. Akshata says D. Sheshnath says can't say. Don't bother those who didn't get D as the right answer. Uh, just watch this video again and practice on a good number of passages. In the beginning, you will be slow, but slowly you will start getting it. And then others, those who are advanced, you'll find that you'll need less and less of paper. You'll do more mentally. So let's recap what we learned. So what analytical reading is nothing but trying to identify the thesis statements and the supporting ideas in the passage, which help the author build up the argument. And in the process, as you do so, you should start questioning everything. What is the possible main idea? What is the purpose of the passage? What is the purpose of this example? And so on, right? So you do this as you read. You start doing this. So you don't read passively. So at every process, every point of reading, you are thinking. So just some tips. So eventually, as you practice, stop using paper. I mean, use only as little of rough paper to jot down your points, and do this as you practice more of RC passages. So eventually, you will find that you don't need this anymore. You'll be doing it mentally. Okay, and be brief in jotting down points. Okay, retain the impression of that line and not the whole line. And of course, if it's a big example, you don't have to write the details of it.
Alright, so I hope you guys found it very, very useful, and I hope to see you all in the upcoming seminars as well. Alright, in case you have any doubts, don't forget about the Facebook group. You can post all your doubts over there. For now, this is Arjun signing off, guys. I hope to see you all in the upcoming seminars. And alright, guys, so have a great day and happy learning. Okay, good night, everyone.